November 1914. Dear Jean, we have difficulty in getting writing material here sometimes. The YMCA will only give us a little at a time, and I have come to the conclusion it is as well to get in early because there is usually a rush on when we are nearing a port, so I am writing this to be ready to post it at our next calling place, which I dare say will be Port Said. Although nothing has been mentioned about it yet, they usually tell us 2 or 3 days before we arrive at a place, and some of the lads write a book nearly, so you can guess what it's like when there is only one pen between 20 men. At present we are passing through what is called Hellas Gates. I don't remember learning anything about them at school, but I suppose it's the right name for it. Anyway, there is land in sight on either side of us, and when we do get through we'll be in the Red Sea. I hope it doesn't take long to get through either, because it is particularly warm. Even if it is winter time, everyone keeps as cool as they can now, but very soon we will be getting as close as we can to keep warm. Well, I suppose I ought to go back and start at the beginning, which is Fremantle, where we gave them an anxious time. They didn't know whether they would get some of the men back again once they got on shore, but I've only heard of one man who didn't care about going any further. We didn't meet the rest of the fleet though until the second day out, and then we didn't see the sight we expected to. It started to rain just at the time, with the result that only the boats closest to us were visible. Things never settled down properly though for the first week. The officers were very nervous while they knew the Emden was about. There is a life belt on board for every man, and every night they would give us practice. First the alarm would sound and we would have to rush down to our troop decks, put our belts on and sit down until the officers marched us up to the lifeboats. But I'm afraid if the boat was really sinking there wouldn't be much waiting, because there are not enough boats, about room for 200 or 300, the rest would have to trust to their swimming powers and get as far away as possible before the boat sunk. The mess orderlies are getting ready for tea, so I shall have to leave off tonight. I believe we have orders to sail with all lights out. Tomorrow I will write some more. We have a good bit of time to ourselves here, so it isn't necessary for me to finish now. I expect you have all read about how the Emden was caught, long ago. We received the news soon after the fight. There was a good deal of cheering too. The officers were so pleased they gave us a free drink of beer all round. Things went along pretty well after that, and we arrived at Colombo in good style on the 15th. There wasn't much to be seen there. We didn't go into the harbour at all, but anchored outside. The township is hidden by trees excepting 2 big hotels and the barracks, and they are very large buildings. There are some mountains away inland, the largest I have ever seen yet. They would give you a surprise if you saw them. You can't see the tops of them. Sometimes one point runs up into a sharp peak. The clouds seem to be nearly always round it. The natives came out the second day. They soon had the boys throwing coins into the water for them to dive for. As long as they knew where it dropped it was theirs. They would show you they had it when they came up and then put it in their mouth. It was marvelous how they kept it all in because they were talking all the time. Well, we left there early the next morning, so the natives never got the second chance. We had a bit of excitement about halfway between Colombo and Aden. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. The boat in front of us had lost a man overboard. They stopped pretty sudden, of course, and as we happened to be running close up behind them, we bumped into them, sideways too, which was just as well for them. We come off worst, I think, as far as the boats are concerned. There is a long hole in the side of ours about 24 foot long, and some of the men from the English cruiser Hampshire are on board now mending things up a bit while we are going. I expect they will join their boat again at Port Said. When you look at them you can't help thinking how healthy the sea must be. They all look so well. I haven't given you all the particulars about the collision. One man out of the whole lot on board showed the white feather, and he was our colour sergeant. I don't know the real facts of the affair. Anyway, he has been reduced to a sergeant and transferred to another company. We weren't sorry to lose him. It is about 2 days now since we left Aden. We had a fairly good time there. It is a pretty harbour in a way. There are no trees or growth of any kind whatever as far as I could see. To get in you have to pass between 2 huge hills of ironstone, which looked pretty, especially in the morning when the sun was shining on the sides. They are all different colours. All the coaling etc. is done with barges. There are no wharves, and the natives fetch cigarettes and different other articles for sale. They throw you up the end of a long rope in the center of which is a basket. You pull it up and they draw it back into the boat with their end. They are not the same as the ones from Colombo though, some of them were Arabs, some Egyptian, and a few were from Samari Island. Our stay there was short, we left about daylight the next morning. Nothing of any interest has occurred since then. We see the coast every now and again, but it is always the same, big bare hills. At one time this morning we were only about 1.5 miles from the shore. Well, Jean, I suppose I will have to make this the last for this time, else the others will be saying I'm having more than my share of paper. Although it's not so bad now, the rush will begin in about 2 or 3 days' time. I am expecting a letter or two by the time we get to England, because the mails go quicker than what we do. I hope you won't forget to send me all the news of the neighborhood. It will interest me a lot more now that I am so far away. You will get a lot of news in the papers about us, I dare say, the lightest side of it no doubt. Still, everything isn't of the best, but it's not much use complaining. I suppose we'll have to take what we can get. We're generally growling about something though, especially the food. The better we get fed, the better we want it to be. In the morning we get porridge and perhaps stew or meat of some sort with a couple of pieces of bread and butter and coffee. For dinner we have 3 courses, soup, meat and vegetables. Sometimes we have rice for dessert and sometimes pudding, which you could play cricket with if you wanted to. For tea we get meat and bread and butter only. There is another boat coming up behind us at present, probably a mail boat. She will take some time to catch us though, even if we are not traveling as fast. Several little coasting boats have passed us today coming from the opposite direction. Today a lot of C Company were told off, and had to pick out potatoes which had begun to go bad, so they are not going to give us any drill. I am one of the lucky ones this time to get out of it. Now I shall close, Jean, and trusting you are all in the best of health. Yours sincerely, Norman. Please remember to the others and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.